Morning Hollywood Hills fans, and welcome to this week's show. So this weekend, you obviously knew me and the boys were out there at Farm Jam, round number 3 of their 2023 Hare Scramble Championship. It was the second time we've been out to Balmoral and the great venue and the ever improving venue that is Sgt. Pepper. Last year, it was a bit of a dusty one, a little bit of mud. This year, some seasonal late rains caused some problems and the boys had to trim down the track quite a bit, but we still went racing and we still brought the vibe that is fun, family, friendly, and farm jamming. This is what went down at round number 3, just in time for you guys to get everything sorted as we go forward into the last 2 rounds of the season. This is Sgt. Pepper. All of this Farm Jam Hare Scramble racing action, powered by Stilkeleen and Fuchs, was proudly brought to you by Vans Racing in association with VW Mastercars Hatfield, Dunlop, Stack Ups and Vitry Designs, and Subaru Nelspruit. Farm Jam Sgt. Pepper, we are good to go, locked and loaded. It's the early part of winter, but it looks like it's going to be an absolute belter. Leon, you've had some challenges with the weather, but you figured it out.
Yeah, this week was a tough week for us. Came up there on Monday, started marking the track, laid it out a week or 2 ago, and it was dry. And when we came out to mark it, things changed a lot there. Got wetter and wetter throughout the week.
Before the kids went out, we chatted to Rowan after he did a pre-run. Ro, you've just gone and done that pre-run. You don't look too roosted, so that's good news.
Yeah, the track is so slippery now with all the dough and the ice on the grass. Yeah, I had 2 bad calls almost, but it will dry out now. It will be perfect for the race.
Chat to Leon, you guys have been out here bleeding the last few weeks, eh?
Yeah.
Big push for this one.
Yeah, no, it's an awesome track. It's so flowy, and then there's like a tech section at the back. So I can't wait to see the oaks out there.
Some new names and faces joining us as well. That was always cool to see. For the morning session though, everyone was getting dialed in as always. Farm Jam Racing, super exciting round 3, marking the halfway point of the 2023 championship. Vonda, you know I've been saying you're the only chick that can take it to Queen Catherine. Have you got it this time?
I hope so. I'm ready for the race. I came all the way from Pretoria this morning, so yes, hopefully.
You know it's going to be whole shot racing. You're good off the gate. Oh, when it's good, it's good. When it's bad, it's bad, eh?
Yes. Last year, this race, I had a flat tire, so I couldn't finish my race, so I'm very optimistic about this race.
After the standard option riders briefing, we brought the riders to the line, and it was the vintage riders that would take us out onto the trails. Gary Whitehouse looked like he had it, but then Ali Stubbs took it out and he would run clear air, or at least until some of the fast 85s and ladies came onto his back wheel. Just 3 vintage bikes this time around, but we're expecting much bigger numbers as we go forward into the final 2 rounds of the championship later on in the season. The senior 85s would give us some big pinners as well. Bruno Niebuhr, Mitch Fallon, Oliver Whitehouse, all going out there and chasing, and they would potentially set themselves up as some of the fastest dudes out there. Fallon got a little bit hooked up in the first of the 180s on the whole shot queue, and that allowed Niebuhr some massive gaps in the early stages of the race. Then going back and picking up on the ladies, round number 3 here at Sgt. Pepper gave us the biggest ever ladies Farm Jam entry we have ever seen. Queen Cat was out there, Vonda Mo, Zaria, Farid, and Lindy Buerta, the ladies to watch in the championship, and they were inside the top 5 going out of the queue as well. Then back onto the junior gates where you saw some big pinners. Liam Skeepers is on a bit of a burner at the moment for the Honda squad. Werner Kleinans and Drickus van der Merwe. Watch Drickus, he is getting super good. One of the big kids out there, very aggressive and a charger as well. The rest of the guys that couldn't get a good gate outside the top 5 were in big trouble. Pro 65s gave us some big action as well. A good solid gate where we saw Declan Richards and John-Luc van der Westhuizen run the numbers, and then John-Luc just tagged his teammate's back wheel. He went out to the sideline and he would eventually pick himself up in almost dead last place and chase through some big dogs to get himself up there to challenge for a podium. Then into the Junior 65s. This is pretty much a category custom made for Wilco Deploy. The Rubine Racing Yamaha Star was out there along with Zack Attack Stubbs. These guys would run laps very close to the times of the Pro 65s. And then on the 50cc gate, it was bar-banging racing action as everyone went out there. Ian van Rensburg has now set himself out there as the main man on the 50cc gate. A little bit of bar-banging, tangling racing action. Van Rensburg popping out on top and holding the advantage as well. Also a rider that's taken now his first big hole shot and was setting himself up to have one of his best ever racing days. With the morning hole shot queue clear, we caught up with Leon to chat about what was in store. So how did you figure things out for the morning session for the kids? Let's talk about the junior loop first.
Yeah, the junior loop wasn't a problem for us. That's like a 11, 12k loop. They got a lot of twisty turnies, cut grass sections, and then they also have a section on the back which is like a rocky area, but it's nice big flat rocks. So I think they're going to have a good time on that side, yeah.
The morning session showed how moist the conditions were going to be, but the juniors absolutely loved how the track was holding together. There were some good crashes out there, there was some good fun, but everyone had an absolute rip as they tackled the 2-hour morning session. Sure, there was loss of traction, but there was plenty of racing and plenty of movement happening out there. Let's go into the categories and climb the ladders. Starting things out with our 50cc warriors, just 3 riders going out there off the gate. Richard Gous tagging a number 3 finish. Janu Potgieter picked himself up and recovered to a number 2 spot, but it was Ian van Rensburg who held that hole shot advantage, ran clear air the whole way through the 2-hour racing format. Even though he got jammed up on a couple of the copies, there's always a helping hand out there, even if it's one of our camera crew, to make sure the little wheels keep on trucking. And Ian van Rensburg will walk away with his first ever big Farm Jam win. Into the 65cc juniors, where we saw some good riders coming off the gate. Gustav van Kirk tagged his way inside of a number 5 to tag some good lap times out there. DC Daniel, a star of the series, starting to come good and really gel well with the gas machine. Up the road with the pinners inside the top 3. These guys can really hold a candle to some of the pro riders out there, so they'll be moving up into the pro categories for next year. Right now, they are chasing championships. Dalton Powell into a number 3. Zack Attack Stubbs, solid in a number 2 spot, but couldn't find the back wheel of the racer out front. But Stubby is on a burner as well and looking good for a solid number 2 spot in the championship as we head to the final 2 rounds. But it's Wilco Deploy who has really put his name on the top step and hammers another big win for Rubine Racing on the Yami. Confirmation of those 2 categories before we move forward into the pros. Wilco Deploy taking the win in the Junior 65s ahead of Zack Attack Stubbs, Powell, Daniel and Van Kirk. And on the 50s, Ian van Rensburg for SVR Racing gets his first Farm Jam win ahead of Potgieter. Into the Pro 65s, this was chaos off the gate. Declan Richards got the big hole shot but had problems later on in the race, dropping down to a number 5 spot. Championship points leader GJ Kutsia also had issues on his machine, dropping down to a number 4, but it still keeps him in the championship hunt. Leon van Kirk takes one of his best rides out here at round 3 of the Farm Jam Hare Scrambles. And Derek Milan is firing on all cylinders once again as he walks away with a number 2 spot. But the breakout star of the day was the hole shot machine that is Jean-Luc van der Westhuizen. Didn't get the hole shot, went down in flames in turn number 2 and plowed the entire field to eventually see clear air and take the big win. This was a hard-earned victory for Jean-Luc. That's going to help him out in his championship aspirations for the rest of the year as well. Into the junior 85s, these were the guys racing on the small loop. Ben van Skalkbeek was out there making it happen on the Kawasaki. Paulus van Kirk just up the road with the number 4 spot, dicing things out with Werner Kleinams. Kleinams, always so good at the high-speed stuff. I think the tech caught him out a little bit here, dropping him down to a number 3 ride, but the kids that were running up the road from him were in very, very good form. Number 2 spot on the day, going to the big kid on the junior 85 gate, Drickus van der Merwe. He's on a burner in 2023. Pretty much everything he touches, he is on the podium. Second place for the VW Mastercars Hatfield rider. But it's Liam Skeepers who is in sublime form, coming off a big GXCC win just a couple of weeks back, and now walks away with a big Farm Jam win. So he can hold it wide and he can bounce tech. Confirmation of Skeepers on the top step here at round number 3 of the Farm Jams, ahead of Van der Merwe, Kleinams, Van Kirk and Van Skalkbeek. And then we go down and start talking about our 65cc rippers in the pros. Jean-Luc van der Westhuizen to come from behind, massive win to beat out his old bud, Milan, Van Kirk, Coetzee and Richards. Then into our ladies gate. They were charging out there. They really enjoyed the challenging conditions. And once again, a massive entry, a record entry at round number 3 of the Farm Jams. Zaria Fourie and the Yami running good. She likes it tech, so she really enjoyed herself out there. Darrell Preuss, always going to be out there inside the number 5. 4 spot for her, keeps it in the championship hunt nicely. And up the road, the pinners inside the top 3 are the ladies that we'll be keeping an eye on throughout the rest of the championship racing challenge. Lindy Buerta, a good gate, put her in a good position to hold that number 3 spot the whole way through the day. Van der Mo, yeah, she didn't get the gate she wanted, but she was right there with Queen Cat the whole way through the early stages, just faded back in the later laps, where Catherine Mostert really found her groove. The Ancat Racing Roost KTM Yamaha star has gone undefeated on the season so far. Could Queen Cat once again go for the Golden Championship and stand on the top step at the end of the season without being beat? And then in the 85cc Pro category that went out on the exact same loop as the ladies and the vintage riders, Rhys Katsibis was down there with a number 5 ride. Just up the road from him was Oliver Whitehouse, who gated inside the top 3 and dropped down to a number 4, finished by the end of play. Mitch Fellon also did a good come-from-behind ride to eventually arrive onto the podium with a number 3 finish. Fellon is in great form at the moment. Stian van der Heever, though, he's kind of made a name for himself out here at the new format of air scrambles that is Farm Jam racing, and he was good. Just not good enough for the win, but he is getting there. He's really building pace, but on this gate and on this tour at the moment, it is Bruno Niebuhr for Rubine Racing. Look at the size of the kid. He is about to make the big step up into the 125s next year, but he walks away with the big win on the senior 85s. 3 finishes on the vintage bike. Steve Katsibis on a Yamaha WR250 93 model. Gary Whitehouse just up the road. He had a good gate and he got boxed out just outside of the whole shot queue. Gary out there on a Yami WR250 97 model, and he's just clicked his way into the 60 plus club. And Alistair Stubbs on a KTM 250 1992 model, but that thing looks fresh as a daisy. He had that thing dialed in, walks away with a rock solid win at round number 3. Cool to see these wagons out there, not on showroom floors, but ripping the bars. Confirmation of Stubby on the top step then for our vintage riders ahead of Whitehouse and Katsibis. Unfortunately, Becker a no-show on the day. In the Pro 85s, Bruno Niebuhr on the top step once again ahead of Van der Heever. Watch out for that battle to really heat up with Fellon in the number 3 spot. Queen Catherine Mostert getting it done ahead of Mo Buerta, Darrell Preuss and Zaria Fourie. Very solid numbers inside of the top 5, but massive numbers, and thanks to all the ladies for making it a big show at round number 3. We caught up with some riders after the morning session. Gary, buddy, you've done a lot of races in your time, man. Tell me how that one measures up.
Well, the first one at, first race at 60, you know, pensioners club. I'm glad I wasn't another.
So you're almost as old as your bike.
Well, combined ages. Yeah, look, classic class is something different. We raced everything. It's a good challenge, and yeah, we need to get more of the guys out there. So many bikes out. The guys want to put them in showrooms and that. Hey, come and ride them. Come join us. And yeah, come have fun. You guys know who I am. Give me a call, WhatsApp, Facebook. You know, you need to know anything about the series and that. Come join us. Come have fun.
Queen Cat, you've ridden a lot of gnarly races. How did that one measure up?
The mud was terrible. I had a big crash just at the end. Yeah, but I enjoyed the lap. Not as technical as it was last year, but I really enjoyed the rocky sections they put in for us and the forest section.
Shout out to the girls. Looks like Vonda is getting a little bit closer nowadays.
Yeah, the first lap she was right behind me. I had to dig deep to stay in front, but as the fitness carried me through, I managed to take a. I'm not sure what the gap is, but I think it's not a bad lead.
Liam, you're starting to become a winning machine. Tell me how the conditions were out there.
Yes, that was slippery. On lap 1 I got the whole shot and crashes happened behind me. And lap 1 I was not that fast, but from lap 2 on I was faster, but the mud, it was just like you brake and you just go even faster. So it was very tough, but I got to the front and yeah.
What advice have you got for the pros going out in the afternoon?
Nothing, I don't know.
JL, tell me about that morning. But first, tell me about that horrendous start.
Yeah, I went down, I pushed myself, went down in the grassy section, and I just pushed myself, went first, and had a big gap, and then Gareth started closing on me, and when we went over the downhill, I saw that they were just behind me, and I went flat out, so the mud was crazy.
So that was the morning session. We get ourselves ready for the big show for the afternoon event. For the afternoon session, the track was going to be opened up. A second section of the copy would be used. While everyone got their boots on and faffed around with their suspension, we chatted to Leon about what was in store for the afternoon.
They're going basically the other way around from last year, but with a lot of new stuff as well. And then we did cut out a section for them this morning that we'll only put in for the big race this afternoon. But they'll still be on about 18 kilometers, so I think they'll be cool.
How much work did you guys put in? I saw you were building lastminute.com bridges. You guys have been bleeding for this one.
Yeah, I think we built about 8 or 9 bridges, proper bridges for the guys to go over. I don't think we're getting soft. I just think the guys want to enjoy the race and not get stuck in the back.
As the dudes got nervous on the line, we chatted to a couple of riders pre-event to get their feeling of what was ahead. Brother, Farm Jam race time. You've seen the kids come in covered in mud. How are you feeling about this?
Ek stres bietjie vir die modder. Ek sien dit lyk baie, maar dis my eerste Farm Jam, so ek sien eintlik nogal uit.
So you didn't come to this one last year?
No.
Everyone says this was the best one last year, so you're in for a treat.
Kan nie wag nie.
Stubby, cool to see you out at the Farm Jams. Are you good to go for this one? Looks like you got a brand new setup. Tell me about it.
It's awesome. So obviously I've gotten a new bike. I've got all the apparel. Obviously the shirts didn't turn out too well, but at the next race we should have them.
Tell me about the Access house hookup and now moving on to the 250. Big changes in your world right now.
Yeah, so I've had a few rides on it. I wouldn't say I'm completely used to it, but it's awesome. I much prefer it over my 150.
Demal, I always know you as an extreme and an enduro rider. At the Farm Jams, that's a good sign.
Yeah, it's my first Farm Jam ever, so I've always wanted to do one. And it's apparently what I've heard is a good mix between fast, flowy and a few rocks, because I've been riding rocks my whole life basically, and I like the fast stuff, so it's a good thing to come try it out for the first time.
I think it's right up your alley. Hair scrambles is good. You're still going to be elbows up, so it's good.
Yeah, always elbows up. I'm obviously going to be out here to win, but also have a good day. Because I'm trying to race as much as I can, because uni is difficult this year, but going to try my best and yeah, race hard.
We've seen the enduro guys start to slowly come across the Farm Jam. I think it's a good fit.
Yeah, the enduro guys are definitely still fast. So I think with the Farm Jam it will be a good mix.
Xander, you look like you're ready for these rocks in the mud. Tell me about it.
Yeah, no, we're very excited for today. It's going to be the first race actually, to be honest with you. But yeah, no, we're very excited. Looking at the guys coming in, it looks like they're a lot dirtier than I thought they were going to be. But yeah, with the weeks past rain and everything, I think it's going to be a lot muddier than we thought. But it's going to be lekker.
Any adjustments to the kits and the bike for this one?
Well, kit-wise, stays the same. I honestly didn't think we're going to get this much mud, so I didn't make any adjustments, so everything stays the same. We'll see how it goes.
Thinking about this one, this is right up your alley.
Yeah, feeling good, eh? Quite slippery today, so yeah, it's going to take it easy, and yeah, I think it's going to be a good ride.
You're not going to take it easy. You got a whole shot.
You
got a whole shot. Yeah, you got a whole shot, but there can only be one guy that leads out. Everyone was going to go for the cheese this time around. Opening up the start line queue to make things a little bit less chaotic, but as always, the pros are going to be banging bars. It was Johnson that saw clear air early on, with Demal Duplessis and Ron Smith chasing the wheel. On the Pro 2s, Kevin Lee on the Titans Racing Sherco got his nose ahead, then Devastator and Jean Niebuhr would be doing the chase down. This was going to be an interesting race because the first time the Titans boys had joined the party. S3 Pros, Paul Krobler, Raymond Langridge. Krobler was on a burner and he was going to try and chase down everyone up the road. He was gone off the gate. In the seniors, Yanni Podkita, a slight jump start there, but Marco Cocci and Hannes Simon would eventually chase him down, and a stacked field of seniors as well to keep things nice and busy. On the Masters gate, Wayne Farmer, Sean Kirk, and Jasper Lublinkov, the big guy from Namibia, joining the party this time around. Could this be the terrain that suited the big muscular German? S1 amateurs, France de Klerk, getting it done off the front. He loves to get the pull away and leave everyone else in his dust. Also, he seems to be really enjoying getting onto that tracks, racing, gas. The S2 amateurs, Koers Language, just about held clear air, and that was going to be super important, not just for spotting the lines, but just to not take that roost the whole way through the early laps. S3 amateurs, Jerome Stubbs on the Axis House KTM 250 4-stroke. Remember, this is a smoker specialist, so he's still getting used to that machine, with Unruh Mostert on the ANCAT engineering machine chasing the wheel. And then going down into the novice gates. These gave us some of the most stacked gates we have seen as well. Really blessed to have these solid entries the whole way through the mid part of the season. And I think the fact that it's not Dust Bowl racing and still a little bit moist out there because of the late season rains has definitely helped people feel more comfortable. Absolute carnage off the novice gates, as we always expect as well. It was a very, very tight and technical whole shot queue before the riders went out into the fields and started to stretch their legs. And out in the fields is where they found what? It's where they found the mud. Even for experienced riders, it was all about learning the conditions and understanding how to get the best out of the machine. When you see the pros tuck in the front in the mud, then you got to know there is zero grip out there. But eventually they did figure out the best lines and the best way to get around the course until they could go out there and start attacking the laps. It was going to be a tough run though. We pick up on the ladder climbs, starting out with the S3 novice gate, where Jan Hendrik van Start got it down into a number 5. It was a bit of a survival race come the end of play, with Alicio De Sena getting it up into a number 4 spot, chasing on to the top 3 of Dean Jacobs. It was clear the riders with a little bit more experience of technical terrain were starting to come good. Rowan Opperman got a good gate, ran some good pace as well, and just eased his way into the race to eventually walk away with a number 2 spot. But on the top step, it was the famous Sean Katsavis on the C926 that put his name at the top of the pile, and this win should springboard him right up into the top end of the championship. S2 Novice, where we saw some real sketchy riding coming out of the gate. It was Dirkie Coetzee that walked away with a number 5 ride, trying desperately to get onto the back wheel of Shane Cilliers. Cilliers was rock solid and managed to stay on the lead lap the whole way through the event to walk away with a number 4 ride. The third place going to Koers Language. Koers had a great gate as well, just got dropped down a little bit as the race got a little bit gnarly. It only took one section to have that fault. Neil Olofse for SBR Racing got it up there into a number 2 spot. He is a more technical rider, so he really enjoyed being able to show his skills out there, but there was one man a little bit better, and he has been a little bit better the whole way through the season thus far, and that's once again Tristan Borchers getting it done and another category win. Up the road to the big bangers in the S1 novice category. These guys were all over each other in the early laps, and in fact, the top 5 had very similar lap times the whole way through the day. Johan Korf down to a number 5 spot. Anton Killian rocking it up into a number 4 spot. One of the highest finishes we've seen of him on one of the older Kawasaki's out there. Marnus Dixon, old Suns Out, Guns Out, was once again in his orange shirt, getting it done into a number 3 and remains inside the top 3 for the championship, as once again he brings home another podium finish. Adrian Foster was into a number 2 spot, getting it done. And then on the top step, Hugo Leroux on the H700. Rock solid as ever. Leroux also looking for a sweet spot. He's taken a ton of wins last year, ton of wins this year so far. Just 2 rounds to go for Leroux to try and cement that number 700 to a number 1. Confirmation of Leroux on the top step ahead of Foster, Dixon, Killian and Korf, with Coetzee just dropping outside the top 5 into a number 6. Tristan Borchers with the win in the S2 novice ahead of Olofse, Language, Cilliers and Coetzee. And then into the S3s, which gave us a wild gate. It was Katsevis on the top step ahead of Opperman, Jacobs, De Sena and Van Stad. Starting to climb the ladder then into the amateur categories. The S3 amateurs gives us some really tasty riders. Andrew Mostert gated well, but dropped down to a number 5 finish come the end of play, getting jammed up in some of the mud sections. That's going to lose him some points in his aspirations for the championship, but he still remains up there on the scoreboards. Matty Reynolds was a rock-solid rider on the day and seemed to relish the conditions as well, making less mistakes than the rest of the riders to put his name a little bit higher. Luke Battersby, a classic enduro rider, but he's starting to find the gears and really enjoyed the tough conditions here. Got himself up there to a number 3 ride. Jerome Stubbs debuting his 250 Axis House KTM and gets it up to a number 2 ride. So it wasn't a win straight out the box, but it was a solid number 2 spot that should see him leading the championship going into round number 4. Luca De Sena, though, was 1 position higher, and that gives him the win at round number 3. Another Shoko rider coming out of almost nowhere at this round of the Farm Jam to challenge. Then into the S2 amateurs, Smitty up there into a number 5 ride, beating out Big Mig De Silva. Big Mig just swinging a leg there, seeing what he can do. Gav Young trying to just improve on his technical riding skills, and he has improved big time, the Bikers Warehouse. Tall kid on the 350, getting it done to a number 4 ride, with Buta Hennings being able to just get a little bit of a better gate and run the numbers out front inside of a number 3. Tristan Bonsakunen to a number 2 ride, and once again, on this gate, the S2s, you can only have 1 man on top, and more often than not, it's that guy, Koos Language. Koos and Bonsakunen were together in the early stages of the event, and eventually Language started to stretch his legs and show his advantage to run the numbers off the front once more. Moving forward then into the S1 amateurs, the big bangers, where we saw some good racing happening out there. Jacques Oosthuizen just beating out on Big Ben, now just outside of the podium positions into a number 6 finish. Graham Trembling, he's super tech as well, so he loved these conditions. He knew exactly how to survive a day of riding out there. Trembling onto a number 4 ride with Dylan Pretorius up the road from him to a number 3. Pretorius took a couple of tasty dives throughout the day, but still brought home some big bacon and some good points tallies. Buzz was out there, the big kid, riding out of Bikers Warehouse himself, and Matt Battersby were joined at the hip the whole way through the day, but there can only be 1 winner. Buzz taking the number 2 spot, and Matt Battersby walking away with another win. Battersby has come out of nowhere for the Bikers Warehouse squad, and he sits on top and will potentially take over the championship lead with this win, beating out his good buddy Buzz. Pretorius, Trembling, Oosthuizen, Big Ben was down there, and Prince down there just outside of the top 6. Koos Language with another win into the S2 amateurs, beating out Bonsakunen, Henning, Young, Smitty and De Silva. And into the S3s for the AMs, it was all about De Sena, Stubby, Battersby, Reynolds, Mostert and Blakey, the top 6. There's only one way to go now as we head into the age group categories and then the pros. For the Masters, we had massive numbers out there. Pierre Smit is super solid and consistent, and he brought the Yami up to a number 5. After going down in a blaze of glory off the start line, Anthony van der Vault on the Sherco 300 4-stroke plowed the field and got a good run of pace going to eventually go up into a number 4, and he wasn't far off the back wheel of the top 3. Fast gas pro racer Sean Kirk was down there in 3rd place, eventually come the end of play with Wayne Farmer into a number 2 spot. The top three were absolutely pinned, but out of nowhere, across the border, down from Namibia, Jesper Lublinkov gets it done at his first time farm jamming and hammers Farmer and Kirky, two former champions, to take the top step. On to the seniors then, and Andries Oosthuizen gets himself into the rarefied atmosphere that is the top 5 into the senior category. Those are some good numbers on the page for him. Carl de Toy was there, as well as Hannes Simon. Simon looked like this kind of terrain would suit him down to the ground, but a couple of crashes late on held him back. So de Toy down there into a number 4. Hannes Simon was there. It was a huge dice in the early stages with Kochi, Milan and Simon all over each other. Eventually, the gap started to open up and the story told its tale. Hannes Simon going down hard in one of the big mud bogs, eventually dropping down to 3rd place. DJ Milan was quiet in the early stages of the race, but kind of came from the back of the pack, plowed the field and got a rock solid number 2 finish going. So he'll be happy with those numbers, but in the championship, it's Simon versus Kochi right now. Kochi took a big gamble on the day, rolling out the big 450. He's got a choice of machinery, remember. He can go 250 or 450. He brought out the big dog, had a good setup on it, and walked away with it. So that's going to see Kochi a massive threat for the title in the seniors. This could be one of his turnaround events of the season. Kochi on top then for the big Yami squad. DJ Milan and Simon in the top 3, with de Toy, Oosthuizen, McAdam getting it done inside the top 6. Jesper Lublinkov changes up the championship completely as he dominates round number 3 ahead of Farmer, Kirk, Van der Walt, Smit and Oosthuizen. That's the Masters Championship blowing up right now. And we move forward into the pro categories. The S3 Pros, the 3rd gate that went out in the afternoon session. One of the standout stars of the season is Elru van der Westhuizen, as he's starting to really improve and build pace at every single round. Then Tyron Pelter, also a little bit quiet in the early part of the tour. 4th place keeps him inside the top 5 for the championship hunt. With Ruben Peters. This is a classy rider, one of the tallest riders out there, so he had no issues at all with the technical and testing terrain. Just dab a foot and carry on flying forwards. Watch out for Peters to start really building momentum into these last 2 events of the season. Kobus Bester, who was just using the Farm Jam Hare Scramble Tour as a little bit of extra practice, came good, 2nd place, and also inside the top 10 in the overalls, but it was all about Paul Krobler. He set out a huge challenge to himself. He wanted to plow the field and walk away with the overall, and he did that. Like he did at round number 1, he takes the S3 Pro category win and takes the overall on the day. Krobler's on a burner in 2023. S2 Pro category, a mixed bag of familiar faces and new faces. Vernon Ordeer, rock solid inside the number 5 as always. You can always bet that he's going to bring home some points. Same story for the Rubine Racing superstar that is Jean Niebuhr. It seemed like a mix of Rubine Racing, Vans Racing, and the Titan Shurkos. We'll get to those guys just now. Niebuhr inside the number 3. Hanru van der Sant walking away with a number 3 ride. That's one of the best rides we've seen out of van der Sant the whole way through the season. So he really did a good job and made the most of some very challenging conditions out at Sgt. Pepper's. But the top 2 on the day was Kevin Lee versus Devin Smith. These guys have never found each other on the track, and they were joined at the hip the whole way through the day. In fact, there was a couple of Shurko guys dicing things out with the Devastator. At the end of the day, though, it was Kevin Lee on the Titan Shurko that dropped down to a number 2 spot, allowing Devin Smith to hold his advantage and run the numbers once again. Another big win in the S2 Pros for the Devastator on the Vans Racing Husky. And then into the S1 Pro category, a huge story where Jean Vulkin on the Bikers Warehouse Honda 450 went out there and got himself up into a number 5 ride. He came to me at the end of the day and said he only saw 3rd gear maybe 3 times throughout the entire day. Ruan Smith was up the road, so he never saw Ruan Smith's back wheel either. 4th place for Smitty on the Roost KTM. But up the road, Josh Johnson, even though he pulled the whole shot, went down hard late on in the race, popped his shoulder out, popped it back in, and held onto the bars with a tear in his eye to eventually walk away with 3rd place. That's going to help him hold on to some kind of championship points, but he was hurting at the end of that day. Demel Duplessis, a rock hopper by trade, coming and farm jamming with us, and in his first time farm jamming on the Titan Shurko, gets a number 2 ride. He'll surprised himself and many other riders out there with that run. But out front, it was the now 2-time winner on the tour and a multiple champion from the past, Airtime. Erhard Bierkes gets it done once again, winning out the S1 Pro category, but losing the overall on the day to a hard-charging Krobler. It was Airtime, though, that took the flag. Confirmation of his win in the S1 Pros ahead of Duplessis, Johnson, Smitty, Vulcan, and Allen. Those guys were absolutely ripping come the end of play in a shortened race. And then in the S2 Pro category, the Devastator beats out on Kev Lee, Van der Sant, Nibua, Nordia, Buerta, and Sneeman. And then into the S3 Pros, it was all about Krobler getting the category win, but also the overall, beating out Bester, Peters, Peltzer, and Van der Westhuizen. We went to the line to chat to the riders after the race.
Hey Tom, that's 2 for 2, but even you will say those were tough conditions.
Yeah, that was tough, especially with this mud. There's a rut, there's one line, so there's a guy in front of you, just like at the end, there's no way getting past. So you make all that time, and you come there and
The boys came on strong at the end there though, eh?
Yeah, they came on. But yeah, it's difficult not to make a mistake, eh?
Dude, you were sick as a dog in the last round. I think you're not sick now, but you're sick of getting second place.
Definitely. It was a lucky race. It wasn't that tough. I could manage more laps, but I'm glad it's over now and we can enjoy ourselves with our families and friends here. But it was challenging. You had to think, made plans in the ruts. Your front wheel slipped. I had a few slippy and slideys and fell down, but overall it was lucky.
Good numbers for the championship though, eh?
Yeah, no, I'm very glad that I had a good round and good day today. I'm glad it was lucky.
Yeah, you had to make every single shape in the book to hang on to that one, didn't you?
Yes, this race was hectic. Some new guy on the block with a shaker. He's really fast. Well done to him. Luckily on the last lap I passed him, he fell, and able to take the first place in my class.
Kev, the best thing is when I see you with those big eyes and a big smile, how'd it go for you?
It was a lucky day. I enjoyed it. It's my first time doing a fast race, so I thought that was great. I was kind of lucked out with that little bottleneck section, because with my tech skills that was easy against these like guys on the 4 strokes and stuff. But then on that flat things, my 252 stroke cannot keep up with those things, and I was losing them. But yeah, I tried to keep it all the way at the end. Even on the last lap, I didn't refuel, I just went. Luckily, I made it all the way. But yeah, I enjoyed it, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Good job, bro. It's great. Wayne Oss, you're getting a little bit good at this, man, but that was a wild one.
I know, it's crazy, dude. That mud was so thick and slippery, the rocks were slippery. On the first lap, dude, I think I pinned it about 5 times. So I was like, what's wrong with you, man? But yeah, it does matter, even with a sticky tyre. Yeah, it's quite thick out there, which is quite nice. But yeah, man, the body needs to have a bit of a workout, so I can't complain.
Good day at the office?
Yeah, no complaints. Yeah, second lap was a bit crazy because then they started cutting it shorter, so you're not too sure where you were. So yeah, but all good at the end, eh?
Got you, Lucius. You got a story to tell. What was that day like?
Man, that was fantastic. Nice track in the beginning. I mean, look, Mother Nature definitely took its toll on us. But what a beautiful route. Brought the big dog out, the big dog ate. Oh, it was definitely not a 450 track, but thoroughly enjoyed it. Machine ran beautifully. Shomals and the guys from Yamaha sorted that out properly, so a big shout out to them. Thanks to Ryan from Polysport for hooking us up with some trick bits. And yeah, just basically, I mean, thanks to Leon, Melissa, Bomb Jam, it was a ripper. Really, it was fun, tech, flowy, everything that you were looking for. But yeah, beautiful, beautiful day out. And I'm glad they cut the lap short because that was getting long in the tooth. Yo.
Shawnee, like we said before, you're on the gate with all the kids, so you're the old man showing them the way, eh?
That's it, yeah. It was tough out there, a lot of mud, but it went well. Just glad I finished. 3 laps in. Hopefully I showed the little lads a lesson or two.
Yeah, you got a bit boxed on the gate there, I saw that.
I did, yeah. Look, the gate was small, so we had to squeeze in a bit, but we made it work. Hopefully it will count at the end.
Kirky, I know whatever I say to you, you love your time out there on the bike, but today was different, eh? What are those conditions like?
It was amazing. The course was fantastic, very wet. It was quite slippery and muddy, but it got better as the race progressed. But today it was brilliant. It was so lekker. It was a great day.
What was the vibe like out there? Because you guys can handle these conditions. Some of the guys, maybe not so much.
No, everyone was great. Everyone moved over. They were a little grumpy in the sticky bits, you know, when we had to get past. But other than that, everyone moved over. It was fantastic. A great day. It was absolutely brilliant. Thanks to the organisers. Thanks to you. You guys have done a magnificent job today.
Dude, I can see you coming in buzzing. I saw you out there buzzing. Tell me the feedback. You just said to me this is the best track ever.
This is the best track ever out of Farm Jam. This is the second time I'm doing this track. Yeah, it doesn't disappoint. A bit of a mud house out there, but we fight them. We keep strong, keep pushing. you just do your best.
It seems like everyone's come back smiling. It was hard, but they're happy.
It was happy. This reminds me of Pienaar's with all the mud and everything there. It's just much more fun. Yeah.
Big Daddy Wayne, cool to have the Titans guys here, and you showed up and you played, eh?
Yeah, what a great day, you know. Always good when the boys are racing in safe conditions. Muddy day today, so no dust. The boys could go for it. The 4 strokes dominated though, but we brought some 2 strokes and the boys enjoyed the fun. A great day, the whole team enjoyed it. Fantastic farm jam, Volkswagen, the sponsors that make this happen, HollywoodHills. Thank you everybody, we had a thoroughly good day. We'll be back for the next one.
Thanks, Wayne.
So that's it. Round 3 of the 2023 Farm Jam Hare Scramble Racing Series is in the bag, and once again, Sergeant Pepper delivering the goods. Hold your breath because we're going to a new venue for round number 4. It's going to be Hartees Dam before we head to the final at Loskop. Watch out for the press for that. But thanks once again for everyone for tuning in and for turning up at Sergeant Pepper's. Farm Jam is pumping as we hit the winter wall in 2023. All of this Farm Jam Hare Scramble racing action, powered by Stilkeleen and Fuchs, was proudly brought to you by Vans Racing in association with VW Mastercars Hatfield, Dunlop, Stack Ups and Vitry Designs, and Subaru Nelspruit. So a massive thanks to Leon and all the crew up there that put together the race. It was a challenge, but it still went ahead and it was still a really cool day out there. The weather on the day was absolutely spectacular, as you can see. Just a little bit of mud bogs for the guys to deal with, but they can't all be dust bowl and they can't all be rocks. We want a little bit of challenges as well. Now, obviously, this weekend, me and the boys went out to the next round. That was round number 2 of the Forge Racing Championship. We put our Hollywood weight behind this tour and we're very excited that what went down on the day out at the Bronx. So watch out for that because that's going to be coming down the pipe in the next week or 2. We've got quite a lot of work on our hands at the moment, but there's still racing and excitement coming to you guys into your eyes with Hollywood Hills. We'll keep it pumping. Just keep a little bit of an extra layer on. It's starting to get a little bit chilly as winter takes hold. We'll catch you guys out there on the line.